Monday, March 23, 2026. New York time, 6:49 a.m. The oil market opens like any other morning. Low volume, thin liquidity, no scheduled economic data releases, no Federal Reserve speakers, no earnings reports, no event risk that any market strategist would flag on a normal trading day. And then, in a single 60-second window, between 6:49 and 6:50 a.m., 6,200 futures contracts for Brent crude and West Texas Intermediate oil changed hands simultaneously. The notional value of those trades, $580 million. The average trading volume for that exact same time period, measured across the 5 previous trading days, 700 contracts. Someone traded 9 times the normal volume in 1 minute, on a day with no event risk. 15 minutes later, at 7:04 a.m., President Trump posted on Truth Social that the United States had engaged in very good and productive conversations with Tehran to end the war in Iran. Oil prices tumbled immediately, 6%, then more. Stock futures jumped 2.5%. The traders who had positioned themselves short on oil and long on equities before that post made profits that, according to market analysts, could easily reach into the hundreds of millions of dollars. A veteran trader at a major hedge fund told the Financial Times, "My gut from watching markets for the last 25 years is this is really abnormal. It's Monday morning. There's no important data today. There aren't any Fed speakers you'd want to front run. It's an unusually large trade for a day with no event risk." Then he said the sentence that every market regulator, every congressional investigator, and every national security official should be reading. Somebody just got a lot richer. We do not celebrate weapons at Navy Beacon. We calculate whether they work. And the question we are calculating today is not a military question. It is a market question. But it connects directly to this war. Because if the answer to that question is what the data pattern suggests, then American military operations in the Middle East are not just shaping global energy markets. They are generating private fortunes for people who know about those operations before the public does. And that is a different kind of problem than any weapon Iran has deployed against us. Subscribe to Navy Beacon. Because what we are about to show you is not a single suspicious trade. It is a pattern. A documented, time-stamped, quantifiable pattern that stretches back to January. And the mathematics of that pattern have a name in securities law, even if so far no one has been charged. Let us build the timeline precisely, because the timeline is the evidence. January 2026. The United States military captures Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Before the announcement is made public, a trader on the prediction market platform Polymarket places a bet that Maduro will be removed from power. The bet, $32,000. The payout when the capture is confirmed, $436,000. A 14-to-1 return on a political outcome that the rest of the world did not know was coming. That trade is documented. The wallet address is traceable on the blockchain. The timing relative to the public announcement has been verified by multiple independent analyses. February 28, 2026. The United States and Israel launch Operation Epic Fury, the surprise strikes that kill Supreme Leader Khamenei and begin the Iran war. 71 minutes before the world learns about the strikes, a Polymarket account operating under the name Magami Man places a bet that the U.S. will strike Iran before February 28th. At the time of the bet, the market odds on that outcome sit at 17%. The implication, an 83% chance according to market consensus, that no strike happens that night. Magami Man bets against market consensus and wins. The profit, $553,000. 5 other freshly created cryptocurrency wallets place nearly identical bets in the same narrow window. The group collectively pockets $1.2 million. These are not lucky guesses. A finance professor at Georgia State University, who previously served on a Commodity Futures Trading Commission advisory board, reviewed the trading history and applied the standard statistical framework used in securities fraud investigations. Most high-frequency traders have a win rate slightly above 50%. He found the Iran trader had an overall win rate of 83% and 93% on trades above $10,000. He said, "Having win rates in the 80 to 90% range is just too good to be true. I look at this and I think something fishy is going on." CNN's analysis found that one trader had made nearly $1 million, $967,000, from dozens of correctly timed bets on Iran-related events since 2024. Every major military event, every diplomatic announcement, every strike, every pause, every escalation. Bet, win. Bet, win. Bet, win. 93% accuracy on the events that move oil markets by double digits. The probability of achieving that record through luck is not low. It is statistically negligible. Now let us return to the Monday morning trade. Because the $580 million in oil futures is a different category of magnitude than the Polymarket bets. This is not a prediction market operating in a regulatory gray zone. This is the Brent crude futures market, one of the most scrutinized, most surveilled commodity markets in the world, operated through the London ICE Exchange and Chicago Mercantile Exchange, regulated by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission. And here's the full picture of what happened in that 60-second window. Type equation in the comments if you already see where this is going. At 6:49 a.m. New York time, 6,200 futures contracts change hands. That trade positions the buyer to profit from falling oil prices. Each Brent contract represents 1,000 barrels. 6,200 contracts equals 6.2 million barrels. At $112 per barrel, the notional exposure is $694 million of oil price risk. Simultaneously, according to the trading platform, Unusual Whales, S&P 500 futures contracts worth approximately $1.5 billion are purchased, positioning for a market rally if geopolitical tension eases. The combined position, oil short plus equity long, is the exact trade you would construct if you knew, 15 minutes in advance, that Trump was about to post a conciliatory message on Iran that would drop oil prices and lift stock prices simultaneously. When Trump's post hits Truth Social at 7:04 a.m., WTI crude drops 6% within minutes. The S&P futures jump 2.5%. The positions established between 6:49 and 6:50 pay off almost immediately. Market analysts attempting to reverse engineer the profit estimate conclude that a $580 million notional position in oil futures, liquidated after a $10 to $15 per barrel drop, yields profit in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Repeated across multiple such trades, before threats, before pauses, before peace overtures, the cumulative gains could approach $1.5 billion. That is not a rounding error. That is a wealth transfer. From every oil market participant who did not have advance notice to whoever did. The Financial Times was measured in its language. The paper noted the trades were certainly enough to raise eyebrows. A law partner specializing in futures trading at the firm Troutman Pepperlock told CBS News that the volume spike was certainly enough to raise eyebrows and I think to launch an investigation. A Nobel laureate economist described the pattern with a different word: treason. The Iran parliament speaker actually provided an unintentional data point. He denied that any negotiations with Washington had taken place and called Trump's post fake news used to manipulate the financial and oil markets. When the denial landed, oil prices partially recovered and the equity rally stalled. Then traders apparently decided to believe Trump rather than Tehran. Prices resumed their post-announcement trajectory, which raises a question that has not been asked in any financial publication directly enough. If Iran's parliament speaker did not know there were productive conversations, and if the White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment on the trades, and if the $580 million position was established 15 minutes before a Truth Social post that surprised Iran's own officials, then who exactly knew? Let us look at the structural answer, because this is not a mystery that requires conjecture. It requires understanding who in the American government would have known the content and timing of a Trump social media post 15 minutes before it was published. The list is not long. The people who know what a president will post on social media before he posts it are the president himself, his inner circle of senior advisors, and any staff member involved in drafting, reviewing, or scheduling the message. In a national security context, where the post references ongoing military operations and diplomatic negotiations with an active adversary, the list would also include senior national security staff who approved the content. That is a small circle, and a $580 million trade positioned to profit from the exact content of that post, executed 15 minutes before the post goes live, implies that someone within or adjacent to that circle had advance knowledge. Now let us examine the regulatory environment that surrounds this question. Because the architecture of enforcement, who has jurisdiction, who has resources, who has the political will to investigate, is itself part of the story. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission has jurisdiction over the oil futures market, where the $580 million trade occurred. CFTC Rule 180.1 prohibits manipulative and deceptive devices in connection with futures contracts. The CFTC has the legal authority to pursue this case, but the CFTC under the current administration has publicly signaled what it describes as a more innovation-friendly, less interventionist approach to market oversight. The agency has made significant cuts to its enforcement division, including the loss of all enforcement attorneys in its Chicago office, according to Barron's magazine. The CFTC chairman has emphasized self-regulation and described existing rules as sufficient, and the CFTC has never applied its insider trading rule to a futures market case of this kind in a contested enforcement action. The Securities and Exchange Commission has parallel authority over equity markets, where the S&P 500 futures component of the trade occurred. The SEC's top enforcement official resigned last week, reportedly after clashing with Trump's appointees over whether to pursue cases with connections to the administration. The Justice Department is exploring the question through the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, which recently met with representatives of Polymarket to discuss how existing laws could be applied to misconduct. SDNY's current U.S. attorney has stated that placing a bet through a prediction market doesn't insulate you from fraud. That investigation is ongoing. No charges have been filed. No individual has been publicly identified as the source of the advanced knowledge. No subpoenas have been publicly disclosed. Here is the structural detail that makes the regulatory picture more complicated. Donald Trump Jr. serves as an investor in and advisor to Polymarket, the platform where the most suspicious prediction market trades occurred. His venture capital firm, 1789 Capital, has invested millions into the company. He also serves as a paid strategic advisor to Kalshi, Polymarket's primary competitor. The Trump administration, in its first months, shut down 2 federal investigations into Polymarket that had been opened under the Biden administration. The CFTC chairman, who would oversee any investigation into the oil futures trade, was appointed by the current administration and has publicly championed regulatory approaches that favor the expansion of prediction markets rather than their restriction. We are not asserting that any specific individual committed insider trading. We do not have that evidence. What we are asserting is that the regulatory infrastructure designed to investigate that question has been systematically modified in ways that make the investigation structurally more difficult by the same administration whose communications appear to have been the source of the advanced knowledge. That is not an allegation. That is a description of a documented regulatory architecture. The pattern exists. The trades are time-stamped. The profits are calculable. And the enforcement apparatus that would normally investigate sits at the intersection of multiple conflicts of interest. Let us step back from the individual trade and look at the full scope of what the academic research has found. Columbia Law professor Joshua Mitz and University of Haifa. Professor Moran Ophir conducted the first systematic study of prediction market insider trading, analyzing more than 93,000 distinct markets and nearly 50,000 unique wallet addresses from February 2024 through February 2026. Their findings were not based on individual suspicious trades. They were based on statistical patterns across the entire dataset. The paper found statistically significant evidence of informed trading in prediction markets, specifically around U.S. government, military, and diplomatic actions. The pattern: abnormal trading activity, concentrated in newly created anonymous wallets in the hours before major geopolitical events that were not publicly known. The events include the October 2024 Israeli strikes on Iran, the June 2025 strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, the February 2026 launch of Operation Epic Fury, and the March 2026 diplomatic communications. The academic term for what the data shows is informed trading. The legal term, if the information was obtained through access to classified or otherwise confidential government information, is insider trading. The political term, used by at least one Nobel laureate and one U.S. senator, is different. Senator Chris Murphy introduced the Bets Off Act, the Banning Event, Trading on Sensitive Operations and Federal Functions Act, which would prohibit platforms from allowing bets on government actions, war, terrorism, assassination, and events where an individual knows or can control the outcome. A bipartisan group of lawmakers co-sponsored the legislation. Polymarket and Kalshi both responded by issuing updated insider trading rules, prohibiting trades based on stolen confidential information, illegal insider tips, or positions of authority that allow users to influence outcomes. The timing of those rule updates, announced the same day congressional bills were introduced, was noted by critics. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called it a fig leaf. She observed that the list of people who could trade on insider information about military and diplomatic decisions extends far beyond the elected officials and athletes the new rules specifically targeted: staff, advisors, consultants, cabinet secretaries, spouses, the people in that room when the decision is made, the people who draft the social media post before the president sends it. None of those categories are effectively covered by rules that require self-reporting and rely on platform-level surveillance of anonymous cryptocurrency wallets registered in Panama. Here is the equation the data has produced. A war begins. Oil prices move 40 to 60% in either direction based on diplomatic signals. Those signals originate from a small number of people with access to classified military and diplomatic information. Markets that allow anonymous betting on war outcomes with no identity verification exist and are growing rapidly. Trades placed in the minutes before major announcements show statistical patterns consistent with advanced knowledge. The regulatory agencies that would investigate those trades have been staffed and oriented in ways that reduce their enforcement capacity and independence. And the financial connections between the administration's inner circle and the platforms hosting those trades create structural conflicts of interest that no existing rule has resolved. That is not an allegation of a specific crime. It is a description of a system that produces specific outcomes. And the specific outcome it is producing right now, while American servicemen and women are deployed to the most dangerous waterway in the world, is the private enrichment of people who may know about military decisions before those decisions are public. The market veteran who watched the 6:49 a.m. spike in oil futures said it plainly. Somebody just got a lot richer. He did not say who, he did not have to. The money moved before the information was public. The information was not public. Only a limited number of people had it. And the system designed to find out which of those people turned it into $580 million in oil futures has not yet produced an answer. The investigation is ongoing. The trades are documented. The pattern stretches back to January. And the same war that has killed thousands, stranded 15 million barrels of oil per day, and driven global inflation to levels not seen since the 1970s has also, by the way, generated private fortunes whose origin no one has yet been required to publicly explain. We do not worship the machine at Navy Beacon. We worship the equation. And this equation, 15 minutes, $580 million, a social media post, and a regulatory system full of conflicts of interest, is the one that nobody in Washington wants to complete in public. Somebody just got a lot richer. And the math of how they knew to position themselves that way is the most important unanswered question of this war. Stay vigilant, stay informed. The numbers do not lie. The question is whether anyone in authority will do the math.